and welcome to my Tarot Corner, and I appreciate each and every one of you who decide to come back. Last night was not a very easy night here. There was a terrorist attack in a synagogue in Jerusalem, which I think is a very vile act, to go into a synagogue where people are praying and shoot defenseless people. Now, I'm not political. I will not enter political issues. I am not a great advocate of my current government and the way that our government is acting. And I can tell you that every Saturday night there are big demonstrations here in Tel Aviv and in other big cities in Israel of people who think like me that the government is doing the wrong things and acts in the wrong way. But terrorism is something that I can never advocate, and this is something that is always condemnable in my opinion. So this was very difficult, and this morning I have to say that I haven't listened or haven't watched any video yet except Yankee Wally's video on Patreon. Yes, I did sign up for Yankee Wally on Patreon, and I'm very glad that she did open a Patreon page. I thought that she should have done that a long time ago. And if you remember the reading that I did for Trevor Cult, I think that he should have done that as well. Instead of asking people for donations and then sometimes the need to give that back. Whoever wants to hear Trevor speak or to give Trevor the endorsement can do that if he does open a Patreon account, and I'm sure that a lot of people will join his Patreon account. And as I said, I am still, for example, supporting Daily Empress, who is a tarot reader who had a very prosperous YouTube channel on YouTube. She still does have a channel, but because she is doing readings on sometimes on very questionable topics that I will not go into right now, but things that are not, do not go well with the establishment. YouTube are demonetizing her in each and every YouTube channel that she opens. So she does have a Patreon channel. I signed up for her Patreon channel just in a way to endorse her, in a way to help her, to be there for her, because I always liked her. I always liked the way that she's reading, and even if today I'm not always listening to all of her readings, so I won't be tainted in my readings, I still endorse her. I still pay the $5 a month. And for Yankee Wally, it's only $3 a month, or even, as she said now, that it will be even $1 a month. It doesn't really matter for me. For me, it matters that I can help those people who need help. Anyway, so as you can see, I have the literary witch here, which means that I'm going to do a reading about a book. And this is about Virginia Giuffre book. Now, she's threatening to write a memoir. And actually, she already did write a memoir, but that memoir did not come out. This was not published. And in that memoir, apparently she wrote many things that she later confessed that she made up. And today I saw an article that said that Ian Maxwell, who is Ghislaine Maxwell's brother, published a photograph of the bathtub in Ghislaine Maxwell's apartment in Belgravia in London, where Virginia Giuffre has this. She gave this long description of how she took Andrew there. She took his clothes off, and they had a bath together, and they had all sorts of sexual activities in the bathtub, in the bathroom, and then later in the bedroom. So Virginia herself admitted that some of the things that she wrote in that memoir were not true. She admitted that they were completely imaginary. She didn't even say that she forgot or that she remembered the things that wrongly. She admitted right out that this was completely fictional. So when you write things that some of them are completely fictional, who can believe that whatever you write, who can sift the truth from fiction when you write a book and you admit that some of the things are completely fictional? So now she's writing another memoir, which is probably based on her first memoir. And I'm going to look into that memoir, and I'm going to use this Creating the Plot tarot spread, which I already used to look into Meghan Markle's possible memoir that she's going to write. And I'm using the Crystal Vision Tarot. It is a tarot deck that has more than 78 cards. It has some extra cards, so if we do get the extra card, I will look into the booklet to see the meaning of that extra card. So before I start, please take a few moments to read my full disclaimer in the description box. This is a tarot reading. It is vibrational. It is open to interpretation. It exists as assumptions, as speculation, and as such may or may not be true. So please do your own research and decide for yourselves. Okay, so let's start by clearing this deck. Sorry. Just one more. Okay, and let's start asking. So, Virginia Giuffre's memoir. What is she going to write in that memoir? How is she going to introduce the subject? How is she going to show us the enticing incident? What is she going to show us about her darkest hours? Virginia Giuffre's memoir, what is she going to write there, and how is she going to describe her darkest hours, her problems, her challenges? What can we expect from Virginia Giuffre's memoir? So the first card is the introduction card, which gives us a glimpse into the introduction of the book, or how is she going to open her book, or what is going to be in her introduction of the book. And the card that I'm getting here is the Two of Swords. So that's interesting, because if you remember, Virginia Giuffre was a young girl that was tempted uh, to to go and work for Jeffrey Epstein as a masseuse, and then she was abused by him. I think that she never said that she was actually, she actually had any kind of actual sexual relationship with him. But this card shows that what she's going to try and show us is how disengaged from reality she was, and how impossible it was for her to reach a good decision, because she was unable to see reality as it was. This is what she's going to try and show us. She is going to try to paint herself as this person that couldn't see reality as it is. And because of that, she was faced in front of a very difficult choice of whether or not to go with Ghislaine Maxwell, whether or not to accept the offer that she received to do what Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein asked her to do. And she did not know what it meant. She was completely disengaged from reality. She couldn't cope with reality, and that led her to choosing the wrong choices, to making all of the mistakes that she made at that time. So this is how she's going to open that book. She's going to start her book by telling us how she was this very naive young lady, unable to see reality, unable to cope with reality, faced in front of these ominous vultures that were around her, and faced this very impossible dilemma that she could not solve by herself, and that led to her strife and problems. Because this card ends up in the Three of Swords, which is destruction and failure. So that's the introduction. So what is the enticing incident? What is the main, let's say, enticing incident that happened that caused the problems? So what we're going to see here is the Three of Swords, which is exactly the card that comes after the Two of Swords. Now, you saw me shuffle, and this is exactly what she's going to tell us. This is what happened. I couldn't cope with reality. I had to make a decision, and I couldn't make that decision because I couldn't see reality. I couldn't face reality. And I ended up in this Three of Swords energy. I ended up in this destruction and failure. This is a card of a person who is in heartache. This is a card of a person who is unable to see reality. But this is also a person who's unable to realize that it's her mistakes that caused her to reach this energy. She's unable to see her part of the mistakes, that she's the one who made the mistakes, that she cannot see her part of the blame. She's blame shifting. She's trying to shift the blame on those vultures. And it's interesting to see that we have three vultures here. So it is like Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Prince Andrew. She's trying to shift the blame, and she's trying to claim that she was this very young person that was unable to see reality. But in this instance, this is not a typical Three of Swords. We see here a young lady with Three of Swords in her heart, but her eyes are open. So this young lady can see reality. So this young lady is able to see reality. So she's supposed to see that it's her own mistakes that caused her the heartache. But she's closing her eyes. She doesn't want to see her part of the blame. So this card causes confusion. This is a card of someone who deceives himself. This is a card of someone who lets others mislead him. So she let Ghislaine mislead her. She let Jeffrey Epstein mislead her, and she did that because they flew her around the world. They paid for all kind of courses that she learned. If you remember how she ran away when she was in Thailand. She was in Thailand because Jeffrey Epstein flew her to Thailand. So she flew all over the world, financed by Jeffrey Epstein. It was actually very convenient for her. So this card is showing us that she is blame shifting. She is trying to show the world how she was in this destruction and failure because she couldn't see reality, because she was misled, because she was very young and she couldn't cope with reality, because she was surrounded with these vultures that were around her. But actually she's blame shifting. She is trying to she's not seeing her own part of the blame. She's not seeing her mistakes. She's not seeing her part. Okay. So what are the challenges here that she's going to try and show us? What are the difficulties that she had to go through? And what we're getting here is the Fool. Now, because this is in the challenges card, this card is negatively aspected. Now, the Fool card is a card that speaks about freedom, and freedom that has no price. Now, when it comes in the negative, we see a person that has no freedom. So this is what she's going to try and tell us, that she was actually locked up, that she could not achieve this freedom. She couldn't have freedom. This is a card of someone who has to go against his own belief, someone who is disconnected from reality, someone who runs away from reality, someone who doesn't take responsibility. So these are the parts of the blame shifting that she doesn't want us to know, but it will come out because we will see that. She doesn't want, she will try to not to show us, to show it, but it will come out of her book. Because when she will try to claim that she had no freedom, but then she will try to start telling us how she went all over the world with Jeffrey Epstein and how easy it was for her to run away in Thailand, it will make us all remember how Meghan Markle told us all that she had no passport, but she was flying all over for vacations during the time that she was a royal. So the contradiction is screaming, and this is what she's going to try and claim, that she had no freedom, that she couldn't, that she was neglected by her parents, maybe, that she was neglected by other people, that she was disconnected from reality, that she had run away from her family, that she was trying to run away from Jeffrey Epstein, but because she valued her freedom so much, she wanted to regain regain her freedom, but she was locked away. She was really willing to take risks. She was reckless. This is about being reckless. This is about being hasty. But this is also about burning bridges. This is a card of someone who is agitated, someone who is frustrated, someone who is doing dangerous things, someone who is hurting himself and hurting others. So this card will show us that the challenges that she's going to try and to describe to us will also describe her as a very reckless person, someone who does not take responsibility for her own mistakes, for her own deeds, someone who has difficulty in making decisions, and someone who she will try to say that she had no freedom, but she's actually very reckless and she made a lot of mistakes. And because of that, many of the things that came afterwards were results of her recklessness. Okay, next card is, what is she going to try and describe as her darkest hours? And we're getting here the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands is card of speed and velocity. And once again, because it's the darkest hours, we need to look at the negative aspects of this card. Now, this is a good card. This is a positive card when it comes in the upright. And when it is in the negative, we need to look at the negative aspects of this card. And this is, when it comes in the upright, it's a person who is in the right place at the right time. When it is in the negative, it shows us that she wasn't in the right place at the right time. But it shows us a person that is making mistakes. It's another card of someone who is reckless, another card of someone who has difficulties to cope with reality, difficulties to cope with pressure, a person who is acting too fast. So this is probably part of the reasons why she keeps on telling porcupines. This is probably part of the reason why she keeps on forgetting things, or her memory keeps playing tricks on her, because she's acting too fast and because she's too reckless, and she is saying things that maybe she's not even sure about, but she's too fast to say them. This is a person who is also getting into quarrels very easily, and a person who is jealous. So the jealousy factor is also very prominent here. And she's probably jealous at her, let's say, other women that were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, that did get reparations, did get to be included in the lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell, because she wasn't, and were included in the first lawsuit against Jeffrey Epstein because she wasn't. So there's a lot of jealousy here, and her lashing out is part of the jealousy. And all of these things are going to be reflected in her memoir, things that sometimes a person doesn't realize that it comes out when they write it. So I'm not so sure that this memoir will come out, will be published, and won't be shelved as her first book. Okay, so what is she going to try and describe hers as her triumph? And she's going to, the devil. So the devil is, the card of all things that are dark. all of the so one thing that we can say is that she's going to try and say, I won over the devil, I managed to overcome the devil, I managed to run away from the devil, and referring to Jeffrey Epstein, referring to Prince Andrew, if she's going to try and to claim that she won over Prince Andrew in her book. This is one way of putting that. I suppose that this is what she's going to try and claim. She's going to try and paint each and every person that was her assaultant in that book. She's going to try and paint them as the devil, and her big triumph was to win over the devil. And as you remember, the devil is the card of darkness. This is a card of submission to urges. This is a card of neglect. This is a card of being addictions, all of the bad things that you can think of. This is what this card represents. But once again, because this is the card, this is what she's going to show us as what her triumph is. It's also a part of it is also a part of it is also something that is in her, because if you triumph over a darkness, it doesn't have to reflect in the devil card. We could have gotten here a lot of other things as something that she could have described as her biggest triumph. Because we got here the devil card, it can also show us that part of her triumph was to win over the devil that was inside of her. Because remember, she's being sued for doing the same things that she is accusing Ghislaine Maxwell as doing. And she's being sued by other women. So she's not so white, she's not so naive as she's trying to say. So part of this devil energy is something that is also exists, or maybe existed in past tense, but it actually, but for sure existed in her. And part of her trying to show us that she overcame the devil, it's not only the devil in other people, it's also the devil in her. So this is why this card came here, because the devil does not exist only in other people. The devil exists in herself. So this is why this card came here, because describing triumph over other people could have come here in other cards, but when the devil card comes, it shows us more than other people's devil. It shows mainly her devil. So this is about her overcoming the devil, which could be Jeffrey Epstein, it could be Prince Andrew, it could be Ghislaine Maxwell, but mostly it is in her. So that's her triumph. So how is she going to end this book? And the ending of this book is the Chariot card. And the Chariot card is about the dream, and it's about fighting for her dream. So she's going to end this book by this positive outlook for the future, and about her going after her dream and her willingness to fight for her dreams. And she will do whatever it takes to get her dreams and to make her her dreams a reality, and she will never give up on her dreams, and she will not give up for any price. She will act decisively. She will be direct even within quarrels, within difficulties. She will go out to war. She will do whatever it takes to get her dreams and to fulfill her dreams and to make them a reality. This is how she's going to end that book. But looking at this book from the beginning till end, if a good publisher looks at this book and tells her what this book really shows about her, I don't think that she would really want this book to come out, because if we're looking from the beginning till end, this book portrays her as, at the beginning, a very naive girl who cannot see reality, cannot cope with reality, but ends up in this very difficult place of destruction and failure, but is unable to realize that it's her own mistakes that led her to that position, and is unable to admit that her own mistakes are part of this, and trying to shift the blame to other forces that are outside forces and not her own her own mistakes. But this is a blame shifting that is not that is not completely true. So of course it's not just her fault, but she has some fault in this, and she needs to realize that. And as long as she doesn't realize it, she will never be healed. And then it will show us a person that is very reckless, a person that is trying to show us that she was locked, although she was free for a long time, and she could do a lot of things, and she could travel the world. So she will try to show us that she was locked up, that she couldn't do anything, but it will show us a very reckless person that took a lot of chances, did a lot of hasty things, took a lot of risks, neglected many things, doesn't want to take responsibility for her own actions. And it will show us a person that is not in the right place in the right time, doesn't take responsibility, another card of recklessness. It will show us that she herself has a lot of darkness that she needs to overcome, or that she had to overcome. She won't be able to mask it. She won't be able to show us that it's only outside devilish forces. She won't be able to do that. And even though she will try to claim at the end that it's her dream and she will fight for her dreams, it will not be enough. In the end, this book will show us her true face. So I think that this is why her first book did not come out, and probably this is why the second book will not come out. But we will have to wait and see. So this is the tarot, and the oracle is the literary witch oracle, and I remind you that this oracle has two parts. One part is the literary witch, which is the writer. Which writer will she emulate? And then what kind of tool will she use? So let's start with the literary witch. Which kind of writer will she emulate? Okay, so let's clear this part of the deck. Virginia Giuffre as a literary witch. Virginia Giuffre as a literary witch. So I'm getting Maria Sabina, healing. Let's see what tool is she going to use. Clearing this deck. Sorry. Okay, so Virginia Giuffre tool in writing, Virginia Giuffre tool. Okay, this flew out and it's bees. So let's see what it means. And it's interesting because we have 3 B's here and we had 3 vouchers there. Okay, so Maria Sabina was illiterate and she lived in poverty in the mountains of southern Mexico. And she's considered to be the greatest shaman poet or wise one of the Mazatec language. She improvised her chants during psilocybin mushroom ceremonies performed to heal the sick. So this is about what ails you, seeking help and helping others. And the bees, it's about togetherness, work, and treasure. So I think that what Virginia Giuffre is going to try is to try to emulate someone who is a healer. She's going to try and say that her book is an attempt to heal herself and to heal others that were affected by Jeffrey Epstein or others that were affected by sex offenders. And she will try to build upon feelings of togetherness and feelings of, well, you know, people that are gathering together and working together to fight something bad or to fight a cause. So this is what she's going to try and emulate, and these are the powers that she's going to try and use in this book. So this is it for this reading, and I hope you liked it. And if you did, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment, share the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.